Go ahead and put in the chat where you're from.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, wow, the live stream is not working on Conscious Awakening Network, it looks like.
Cool.
Uh, well, we're not live streaming on Conscious Awakening Network, it looks like.
See some familiar names in the group tonight.
Aloha, so nice to see everybody. We're going to get started in just a minute. Just the last few minutes, last technical difficulties. Okay, we'll go ahead. Dave, if you could do the spotlight, and I'm going to do a little housekeeping real quick, and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Yeah. So aloha, everyone. Welcome to Hawaiian Islands. I'm Sean Lether. And if we are broadcasting on Conscious Awakening Network, welcome. I'm not sure if it's working or not. I want to make a few announcements real quick about upcoming events. On the third Tuesday of this month, December 17th, we'll be having our monthly Hawaiian Islands Experiencers Sharing Group. Anyone who has had any spiritually transformative experience, whether it's an NDE, after-death communication, prophetic dreams, or if you're just interested in listening, you are invited to join us. And we'll put a link in the chat. Also, if you are not signed up for our newsletter, we'll put a link to the current newsletter in the chat, and you can sign up. And that has all the links to all of our events. This event will be recorded, and you can watch a replay on the Hawaiian Islands YouTube channel, and we'll stick the link in the chat. And please subscribe. That will help us get more exposure to the videos. Lastly, I want to remind you that these events are a labor of love for us, and it's very important that we keep them free. Your generosity helps keep our events free and support sharing the wisdom and love of NDEs and SDEs with the world. So please partner with us and donate today, and we'll put a link in the chat. Okay, let's get started. Aloha, I'm Sean Lether, and we're excited to be broadcasting on Conscious Awakening Network and on YouTube. If you're watching us on YouTube, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. In 2018, today's guest, Ken Lloyd, a successful tech entrepreneur, experienced a complete life-transforming near-death experience. Following his NDE, Ken felt strongly drawn to a path of spirituality with a focus on healing all aspects of himself. He experienced a frequency upgrade that entirely changed his life, bringing back fragments of his previously fractured soul. Ken experienced the profound gift of integrating 22 souls, including his higher self and oversoul, into his physical being, allowing him to embody higher frequencies and facilitate connections across the vast expanse of the universe. Ken now delivers ascension and healing codes to humanity through his sacred union, igniting a profound journey of renewal and wholeness. You can learn more about Ken at his website, which is kenlloydofficial.com. Welcome, Ken.
Hey,
So
thanks
glad
for
to have
inviting
you
me.
here.
Yeah, I'm excited. We met about 2 months ago, roughly. That's had some great conversations, and I was saying to myself, "Geez, I'm not sure what I got to offer your group, right? These few people that show up, but through our conversation, I realized there's actually quite a bit of value, and I want to share that today with your audience, right? And before we begin, just a couple of things. Take notice of how you feel right now. Check your emotions, check your discomfort, the pain in your body, just how you're overall doing. And then at the end of our episode tonight, I'm going to provide a free healing for everyone. right? And there'll be some coupon codes. We'll figure all that out. But the point is notice the shift in your body over the next hour. There will be a shift for sure. So thank you. Thank you for allowing me to show up here, Sean.
Thank you for joining us. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about your previous life and then your NDE and
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a self-taught entrepreneur. I've got no college education. I tried that, didn't work out so well, right? No religion, no spirituality, didn't follow any doctrine, just living by the code of software programming, right? And I had ended up creating three software security companies since the 2000s. They were cybersecurity. I'm one of the original inventors of antivirus, but you'll find my name nowhere, always behind the scenes. So here we are. And right about 2016 or so, I had already started my third company, which was mobile cybersecurity. And I started getting these ice pick headaches. I mean, right in the center of the head, incredibly powerful, incredibly painful. I started passing out. And it turned out I ended up with a pituitary brain tumor. All right, that was impacting me quite a bit. Now, in 2018 is when all the real fun stuff, and I say fun with a sarcastic smile there, began happening, right? I ended up getting triggered one day from my business partner. We were going through an acquisition, the third one, and I've been to the rodeo a few times and realized, hey, I wasn't getting the information I needed, so I was triggered, and I laid down to kind of let the anger leave my body because I was very angry at that time. I was on an amazing amount of energy drinks. I mean, massive amount of energy drinks. I was on the strongest prescribed ADHD medicine, very, very little sleep. I had employees across the world and stressed. So I just wanted to set that scene. So I'm angry. I go to lay down. And what happened was my stomach arched into the air. So it was like the upside down letter U, right? And I'm frozen, almost posturing with my hands locked in position while this crazy energy moved through my body. And I actually felt something coming out of my abdomen. Now remember, right, I've never had these experiences ever. They pulled something out of my abdomen and then I passed out. Okay, I literally slept, woke up the next day and felt just a little bit more peaceful. So in the beginning, I'm like, geez, I'm not sure what I'm going to offer your audience about my near-death experience. Guys, that's literally it. But there's so much more that comes after that. So to be clear, when I went over, I don't know if I went over. I didn't have a vision. I didn't have a conversation. I didn't have an epiphany. What I felt was just a little bit better the next day. It took me almost 2 years to realize what had happened that day. So let me kind of sum it up. So the idea of us passing away and a tunnel opens, we go to the other side, we have our experience, and then many of us come back, hence the NDE. Well, imagine that tunnel opening. I never went over. So I don't have the stories. I don't have the miraculous healing. I don't have all these things that are reported. But imagine one coming through the tunnel into my field. So that's what happened. And I had no idea this was happening. All I knew was all of a sudden, I'm Googling what an aura is. What is a psychic? What does it mean to have a psychic reading? What is QHHT? What are herbs? I am literally blowing up my computer focused on this. And I literally lost all my interest in computers when this happened. They turned off my ability to create software, to create programs, and they moved me into this heavy awareness of what was happening to me. Okay, so that was about a year and a half into it. And I started reading books, right? Trying to understand what all this was. And I picked up a healing book and I read the healing book and I started practicing on friends and family, and they were all having results, right? Now, by this time, I had done Reiki certification, right? No, I don't practice Reiki, but I just wanted to open up the energy channels. And again, I had no idea why. I had no idea why I was being pushed down this path to do these things, but it consumed everything I did. So I bought the book on healing. I started doing it on friends and family. They're reporting results. So I signed up for the modality, right? And I took it. And I was doing everything in that class without effort. And then I did the 25 people after that, right? Now, to be clear to your audience, I don't have a modality. All right. I don't practice anybody else's modality, but I took that training for confidence. Can I actually do these things? So lo and behold, as we are moving along, as I'm moving along this journey of self-discovery, I run into someone, they say, listen, you're a walk-in. I'm like, what is that? Right? Because it kind of resonated with me. I'm like, oh wow, okay, so here's a clue. Like, it's because I still don't know what's happening to me. A year and a half, almost 2 years later, all the psychics I went to, everything was leaving me just a breadcrumb, just enough to get to that next thing. I'm starting to have dreams and all those healing things. I'm like, there's something really, really happening. So when this person told me they were a walk-in, I began researching it. So I want to kind of explain to everyone what a walk-in is real quick, and I want to break down the differences between a walk-in, and I think we were talking about multiple personality disorder and things like that, right, guys? So yes, there's 22 in me, and I'm going to get into their story in just a second. But the idea of a walk-in is a soul fragment. Usually it's a fragment of a soul that will step into your field, and they will help you in a more intimate way than your team would. Think about them just being a little closer, a little more integrated. Okay. For me, when that one came over, he began modifying my physical body, changing my physical body so I could hold higher frequencies. He was pushing me to learn how to heal myself or to go to the practitioners who can heal me because they needed my body in a better condition. Right? They needed to raise the frequency, and you'll understand more of the story of the reason why they had to raise these frequencies shortly. So he spent, a year and a half or 2 years raising my frequency. I could feel it in my body every night. It was amazing. Lady says you're walking. Well, come to find out, I'm not just one walk-in. Okay, there was one originally, and then it was April 1st, April Fool's Day, not this year, but the year before, where I believe 12 more walked in. Okay. And they all kind of entered a chalice or a cocoon, if you will. So they all kind of began merging into my energy field. Now, I'm not in constant dialogue with them at this point, right? In fact, I'm still kind of confused on how I even communicate with these 22 at, well, that time, just a couple, right? And trying to understand what's happening. All I know is healing's happening, and it's happening almost instantly with nearly everybody who's in front of me, right? So this is kind of blowing my mind a little bit. So, April 1st, those come in. And then by December of last year, so almost 12 months from now, or 12 months ago, my higher self stepped into my body. Now, here's the thing. When the first one came in, I didn't recognize it, didn't know it, right? And then when the other 12, I'm sorry if I get the numbers exactly incorrect, but when the other 12 came in, I didn't know it. I couldn't see it. I couldn't feel it. I had others telling me this was happening. But on December 12th last year, that changed. So on December 12th, my higher self stepped into my physical body. Right? I kind of knew this was coming. I kind of got that intuition a few weeks before that something big was about to take place. And about 8 o'clock at night, I get the little thing that says, "Go meditate," right? Which was unusual because I don't meditate like that. Things are just happening without me doing the meditation. So I get the call. I go into my meditation room and I sit down and I'm instantly locked in position. Right? I'm in a seated pose. I can't move my arms. I can't move my legs, my lips. I can't move anything. I'm literally locked in position and I'm feeling this heavy energy starting to come down into the crown. So I start asking a lot of questions of the higher self and the oversoul because they were both coming in at the same time and they shut me down. I could hear it in their voices. They were like, "We're a little busy right now. We'll answer your questions as soon as we're done." So imagine sitting there for 13 minutes. You can't move and you can't think. You can't formulate a question. You just have to be in the now, observing what was happening to you. Okay. So that took place on December 12th. Very, very profound since I hadn't had intense experiences like that before. Now, my life completely changed 2 weeks after that. I mean it completely changed. At the time, I had already left my job. So when you sell a company, you get to negotiate your contract. They are typically negotiated very well, right? So I've got this incredibly awesome, well-paying job that allows me to search psychic stuff all day long if that's what I want to do and just do it in my thing. But I left my job. So in January of 23, so almost 2 years, I left this incredibly well-paying job to do this. And it wasn't a choice. Like I had to do whatever this is. So 12/12 comes around, higher self comes in, and 2 weeks later, they're like, you're getting a divorce. I'm like, what are you talking about? It says you're getting a divorce. So let me kind of pause here for a lot of you folks, if you're not familiar with the walk-in experience, okay? When a walk-in happens, typically it's a soul exchange, okay? You walk out, an exchange comes in. When that happens, the exchange that's coming in has a lot of trauma to deal with, right? There's a good chance that this situation happened because of a suicide attempt, right? Or car accident or something tragic to bring you to that near-death experience. So the soul walks in and he's immediately, or she, whatever, is immediately getting rid of the trauma, which means removing themselves from all of it, which means divorce, which means moving, which means change of job, because they don't actually recognize anybody in the family, right? It's a whole other family. So that's a soul exchange. And that happens to a lot of walk-ins. That didn't happen to me. So I felt really lucky that here I am. I'm having all these wonderful experiences. I've got a walking going on. I didn't have to pay the price of losing the family. And then the hammer drops, right? So almost 12 months ago. So within 2 weeks of that happening, I was asking for a divorce of an otherwise perfect marriage of 17 years. Sold everything that I owned, right? And I had some nice stuff. Put the house up for sale. Packed 3 bags and left for Mexico for 6 months. So this was the shift. My team called this the Great Reset. And this is literally getting rid of everything in your life to bring in everything that's new. So here I am in March. I'm in Mexico. And I'm in Yalapa, Mexico, and 9 more come in. Okay. Again, I didn't know what happened. I didn't know what happened that night, but here I am now. I'm sitting there with 21 or 22 of these soul aspects inside of me. And in July, they said, Ken, they had me in Tulum at the time. They're like, Ken, you're going to go do Cambo and Bufo. Now, guys, I don't like this stuff. I don't like hallucinogenics. It is not me. And I didn't even know what this stuff was. So I'm in Tulum where it's legal. And I did Cambo first, took a 2-hour break, and then did the Bufo. So, guys, this is a frog poison. The Cambo opens up the cells in the body, right? Purged trauma. I had no issues with that. Didn't have any trauma to purge. They pulled all my trauma out during the near-death experience. So I didn't have all this extra work to do. Literally, that's what they pulled out of my root chakra and my trauma. So easy peasy. 2 hours later, I jump in and I do the Cambo. And that's when I realized how real this is. So as I come out of the Cambo, it's about a 15-minute or 20-minute experience. It's basically DMT. And I could see all 22 of them sitting in the tent with me. Now, they were all fuzzy, except for the one to my right, who looked as 3D real as you could ever believe. And I open my eyes and I'm still seeing them. I close my eyes. I do it again and they're still there, right? And then they gave me some messages. What happened that day was they used the Cambo to open up the cellular structure, the energetic cellular structure in my physical body. The 22 merged into my physical body. So they're not in my field like we would think. They're in the cells and the DNA. They're in every aspect of my body. We are what is called a human collective. You guys all want to reach up and talk to your collective? Mine is inside of my body. So that's where I'm at right now. And the healing is just phenomenal, if I can do that, right? And I'm still going through more and more integrations. They always continually shift and move and uplift things. So I've been talking for 20 minutes, Sean. I'm going to stop to see if you have any questions for me.
Yeah, actually, so maybe you could explain, because I'm sure people have asked this or might be thinking this. What is the difference? How do you know it's not multiple personality disorder so yeah, if you could speak about that. And then also when we were talking earlier and you were talking about hackings,
Hijackings.
hijackings. Talk a little bit about that too. And are all walk-ins benevolent?
Great question, right? So the understanding here is recognize that a walk-in is here for a higher purpose. Okay. They're here for service to others. So think of that understanding, right? My team never yells at me. They never talk bad to me. They never tell me you woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? There's no shaming, there's no guilt, there's no nothing, right? No matter what human 3D decision I make, they're there to support me. We move forward with it, right? Assuming I make my decisions, we'll get to that in a second. Now, when we are talking about these other topics of possession, right, which I've seen in the 3D, when we're talking about other topics of what I call hijackings. So imagine the idea that you are exiting, you are crossing over, right? And as you do that, something else swoops in and hijacks the body. Okay. The soul coming into that body thinks it's a walk-in, but it's hijacked because it's the mission. And you'll recognize them from the way they talk, from the way they act, from the way they perceive life. It's very, very angry, right? It's very controlling, right? And you'll hear their team talking very down and degrading and those type of things. So they're real common. When you understand this, a walk-in will never have that low vibrational energy thrown at it or part of its team. Hijacking are different. Hijacking can be from the ugly darkness, if you will, right? I've seen ET hijackings where they've possessed a physical body and the soul had actually left and they were there. So very, very different stuff. Again, service to others rather than service to self.
Yeah, and that's important, like we were talking earlier, for everyone, make sure that you heard what he said about that you will feel good. You're gonna maybe even feel love, and they never yell at you. You're not gonna anything negative is not a benevolent walk-in.
They do stop talking, don't get me wrong. They do go quiet. They're like, eh.
Right, but
When
they're
you
not
come to your-
negative.
No, they're not
Right,
negative at all. Yeah. So, and when they do stop talking, usually it's because something big's coming. So it's kind of the obvious before it happens. So let me talk about the healing just a little bit, right? You know, I don't know how I do what I do. I mean, let's just be honest, right? I see things like a movie, and I can reach into the movie and pull out the thing that doesn't belong, which I call energy interference. So if I'm looking at your back in my mind's eye, I can see all the emotions that are around the back that you're holding. I can reach in like a movie and pull them out like a bubble. When I deal with trapped emotions, I'm sorry, not trapped emotions, when I deal with ancestral connections, right? We have those things. If you guys, I'm sure everybody on this call knows, the ancestral connections, the past lives, all these things that contribute to what I call energy interference. I'm able to see all of those things. And I'm able to go into that past life and heal that past life and shut that door or turn off that connection to the body. And for me to heal a past life, 8 to 9 seconds to identify, to heal, and to release it. And I can do 10 of those past lives in the same amount of time. Ancestors, their childhood trauma, they all show up. The angels come in and do the help, right? The way they've designed my healing, it is really about now. Boom, boom, boom. So if you're used to going to a healer that will tell you, listen, that shoulder injury, is attached because of a past life, and that person may start going into, well, in that past life, somebody stabbed you in the shoulder a couple different times, and they start telling you the story, right? It was in the 1700s, or all of these wonderful, interesting things. But let me ask you something. What do you do with that? What do you do with the story? What happens here is you start focusing on, well, what did I do in that past life to end up in that war? I would never have done that thing. What was I thinking? And what happens is you start drilling down into that story and you start making that energy connection tighter and stronger. You're reinforcing the connection that is making you ill. So I don't go into any story. I'll go in there and I'll remove exactly what needs to be removed and move through it. Like most of my sessions, Sean, they're 30 minutes. And we're spending 10 of those minutes just talking about stuff. It happens so fast. So again, the idea of learning the story about your ancestors or your past life, I question what value that brings us at this point. My team is here because they're, well, we can do look at the words, accelerating ascension, but the time's up. The whole ascension thing is accelerating, not just with me, but thousands of practitioners. You guys probably realize this yourself. Things are rapidly speeding up. And I'm here, and others, not just me, to do work on millions and millions of people in mass to bring them up to their 5D ascension and to heal their bodies. So kind of a new paradigm that's happening.
So why you?
Oh,
Do you
it's not
think you
just
had
me.
a soul contract
No,
to do
not a bit.
this?
This is actually my job. So I'm not chosen. Just give that up, right? I'm not chosen, right? This is literally what I do. I show up in times of great ascension, ascension for thousands and thousands of races, billions of years, and I bring in the new technologies, the new spiritual technologies. I accelerate each of those ET species extension. So I'm literally here doing the job I always do. I am just waking up to the job I've always done, and I'm still in the dark. So as much as I think I know stuff, I'm like, come on, give me some more information. I don't kind of always get it. But yeah, no, it's this is just what I do. And to my knowledge, there are 10 others like me on the planet. They're configured differently. And they do the quotes and they are configured differently, but they're also region specific. Like I couldn't do my healing job if you placed me in the middle of an Asian country. I don't speak the language, I don't know the culture. Right. So there are 10 others that are placed around the world to do the same thing in their own culturally acceptable way.
And so you've done this in other lives.
Every
This
one
is
of the
what you
lives
do.
that are every one of the lives that are connected to me now are part of me that have already done this. It's kind of like before I show up, I assemble the team with the tools. Right. And this is the team with the tools. And this is just the team for right now. So let me throw another interesting stuff in there. So yes, there's 22. I'm what is called a hollow bone. So you imagine a hollow bone going straight up. And imagine no matter who's in front of me, the very thing that person needs will come down that hollow bone and be delivered. So this path or this axway, this access that I have is kind of beyond most of the rules and regulations of the whole ascension game that's being played right now. It's outside of the normal operating parameters. For those people that have an ET family that's not part of the 8 that's out there now, right? They will come through. Their ascension codes will come through, their codes will come through. So they tell me that while I have 22 right now, at some point I'll have 45. And then through 3 major cycles, they will all cycle out as I move through life. And as I need to deliver more tools to humanity, those with the tools will show up so I can deliver them. Hope that made sense.
Yeah. Can you explain the ascension codes?
Ultimately, it is literally the way to understand it is simply increasing the vibrational structure of not only the DNA, but the cellular structure in the body. We're doing this not only to vibrate the body to a higher frequency, which we just said, but ultimately it gives you access to other information, other knowledge, other visual wavelengths for those that you'll be able to see of the things that are actually happening around you. It gives you more access. So the coding is literally turning on those features inside of the DNA and again, inside of the cellular structure that will activate your new human potential. This is happening now. Okay, so that was them, by the way. And sometimes you'll see my head kind of turning off a little bit as they just start coming through. And they come through as one. So there's not different voices. I don't have them playing all sorts of games in my head, right? One voice, and they have my personality. So it's not like I'm talking to somebody different. It literally feels like I'm talking to myself.
And you don't know what they're saying.
What do you mean?
time, right?
So yeah, typically what happened, like what I just said, I don't know.
Right.
Because it's like I tap out and they're there. And I'm in. And even when I'm doing my healing and I got all this light language coming through, I'm in the back of my head wondering, did I do my laundry? Are the dishes done? It's like I'm there and I'm not there. It's the weirdest thing, but it's so natural.
Which, by the way, everyone, Ken will be sharing some of this light language with us later.
Yeah,
towards
stick
the
tight.
end.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of incredible things are happening to me again. A lot of shifts going on in my own world, especially now with the divorce stuff that's almost coming to an end, right? And what's happening now is once that contract's complete, when I say contract, think about the energy contract as well as the physical contract, right? But once that's complete, then the team will be able to bring in my new gifts and the new mission statement. I say statement, I already know it, but they'll be able to begin bringing in that new and the next stuff for me to share with the world. I will tell you that one of the things that they've done this past year was introduce me to something called the Library of Creation. Okay. The Library of Creation is ultimately where I take my clients. So if you're going to show up in a group, I'm most likely taken into the Library of Creation. Okay. This is a place that has all recorded information of creation from humans, ETs, the whole span of it, right? Not only that, but this library isn't just a repository, it is where you go to create. This is where you go to create your body that doesn't have a disease in it, as an example. And what's happening is my team has now shown me how to take people into the Library of Creation and show them how to heal themselves using my tool set without me being there. So remember, my mission is millions of people. There's no way for me to individually work on millions of people, but they've now created this program. And I just took the first group through it the past 4 weeks, right? They are in there. They are seeing their past lives. They're seeing their ancestor stuff. All the stuff's breaking. They're having amazing results. So again, the tool showed up for me to give it to whomever might want to use it so they can heal themselves in their own time. So you can either have me do it, right? Takes 15, 20 minutes. You can show up for a group, which would be, and the healing is titrated over 2 or 3 days. You will feel energy for days. Or I can show you how to do it yourself. So the team gives you all the tools.
So is the Library of Creation the same as the Akashic Records?
No, not a
Or
bit.
different?
No,
How
very,
is
very
it different?
Well, so my understanding, the Akashic records are created and held, or I'm going to use the word controlled because I was told it was a suppression technology, information about us, knowledge about our history and stuff, right? But one, and I've had mixed stories on this. One, it's not necessarily modifiable. And two, you're only getting the sliver of information that they want you to see. They being the Akashas or whoever is asking the question, right? So it's limited information and limited ability to access to do something with that. The Library of Creation is all your records, all of it. So I had people going in there today. I had a class this morning. They were going into the library, looking at the past live and the trauma that was happening. They were watching the movie, right? Through this, right? So they're doing it. There's not a middleman. Right? They can actually see their own thing happening, right? And then they can have the library go and heal and release that past life. So actually take action on the information. So that is the biggest difference. It's a full record set, right? You imagine burning your contracts and then actually reading the contract. It's all available.
Fascinating. So you seem real well adjusted considering, this is, many people know this, I started Hawaiian Islands, the sharing group, because I didn't understand what was happening to me and I needed to talk to other people.
Yeah.
How have you been able to do this transition? Did you do therapy?
No,
Are
none.
you just accepted it as you went along, or
It is the strangest thing. And I kid you not, because when I see other people going through similar 3D trauma, right? Or going through their own dark night of the soul or their own awakening, whatever the process is, I see so many emotions attached to the process, the healing, right? I don't seem to have those. And no, it's not that I don't have emotions, right? But just recognize the ability to move through a traumatic series of events without taking on the trauma. This is what happens to me. I can move through the process I'm moving through, realizing I just sold everything I've ever owned. I should be nervous. I'm not, right? And in fact, when I went to Mexico, my team turned off all my appointments for months. I should have been concerned about making the bills meet. I wasn't. Nothing seems to attach itself dramatically. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a little bit of loneliness there that takes place because I do have a hard time, discussing this weird stuff that happens that in those weird conversational ways, right? But beyond that, there's no trauma. There's no anger. There's no hate. There's no vengeance. There's no remorse. There's no woulda, coulda, shoulda in my entire life. There's not a single thing I've done that pops up in my memory in the day that I think about, wow, I could have done something different. So it's the weirdest thing to be living in the now without worry. So maybe I should have saw someone, right? Winking.
And so you've totally exited the story.
Yeah, totally.
And when you're helping clients, you don't go into their story with them. In fact, you encourage them to leave the stories.
Yeah, listen, I know you've got two bad knees. I don't need to know if you had surgery on them. I don't need to know if you've been in 12 car accidents. I don't need to know anything. Tell me it's your knees. And that is literally the end of that conversation. And then 60 seconds later, they're walking. I had a lady show up. It was really interesting. She was 29 or so, a couple months ago in person in Sarasota. And she showed up with this list, right? I want this activation. I want more intuitive, a spiritual list or spiritual growth list, right? And I said, listen, I can do all of that for you. I says, but you're not going to realize that this session did anything for you until those things show up in your world. And everyone here knows that our gifts show up when our team's ready for us to have them, not when we order them, right? They show up when they show up. So I said, listen, is there anything in your body that's hurt? Now she was young. She's probably late 20s, early 30s. And she says, yeah. She says, I can't bend my knees. Like, what do you mean? She says, I haven't been able to bend my knees since I was 3. So I think, well, can you show me? So I had her stand up and, squat down on her knees, and, her bottom was 2 feet off the ground. Like she almost literally couldn't bend her knees. So yoga was hard and all these things. She's very health orientated. So I said, okay, I did the thing I did. 45 seconds, maybe. I said, okay, I need you to stand up, kneel down. She went all the way down. She had no pain, no discomfort. And to this day, she has no problem with mobility anymore, right? These are the things that happen every single day. And while I know it's just energy interference, right? And I know it might have been 2 ancestors in a past life that caused that or some stuck childhood trauma. I don't know the reason it's there. I don't go into the story. And had I spent time with her trying to understand what happened when she was 3, what kind of trauma was there, and it would have took the whole session, maybe, if not brought up more trauma. So in this particular case, I literally reach in, pull it out, break the contracts, and we're done. I'm happy with it. So is she.
So Carol would like to know if you ever have anxiety.
No. Let me tell you this wonderful story. As a cybersecurity entrepreneur, I was the last person that wanted to go to a meeting. I was the last person that wanted to answer an email, and I sure in the hell wasn't answering the phone. I was such an introvert. This is why my name's nowhere when I created all this technology, right? An introvert. Imagine just the idea of total shell, right? Didn't want to come out. I work at home for 27 years, right? You just don't come out of that shell. So lo and behold, this happens. And then I have my first event in Sarasota, about 3.5 years after, I think, right? First time ever in front of anyone. And I have no anxiety. I mean, not just comfortable, none. not a single speck of stage fright. And I had 150 people in the room. Nothing. And I'm pulling people out of the crowd and healing them in real time in front of the crowd, right? So you think you'd be nervous, like maybe I'm going to grab somebody who couldn't be healed, right? I have no anxiety. It is the strangest thing. They removed my ability to have fear as well. So yes, if I'm going down an alley at 2 a.m, okay, fear, right? But when I'm looking at the entities, when I'm seeing what's going on, there's no emotional connection to any of it. And in none of the work I do is there any harm done, because there's not an emotional reaction like, oh my God, you're so nasty, you got to get out of this person, those type of things. If I'm doing entity removals, everyone is put back to where they came from. There's no annihilation, there's no anger, there's no vengeance, there's no and this allows the entire healing scene to actually work for everybody involved and all the different consciousnesses involved. So yeah, no, great question. And I don't understand why or how the anxiety thing works now, right? You would think I would be crazy nervous, but no.
Now, do you think that was the result of the NDE or the result of them coming in?
Programming. Yeah, they're telling me it's with the programming. They need me to be in front of groups of 10,000 people at a time. It's programming. I need to be able to stand up there and allow them to do their jam. And this is what they tell me. They're like, listen, even right now, talking to you, they are talking to you.
Right.
And when I'm up in front of the microphone, they are doing the work. Right. When I'm driving down the road, that's me. But they're showing up literally for everyone else. So no anxiety.
Do you know all their names?
I almost know nothing about them. And that's intentional. And I struggle with that, right? And I couldn't quite understand why I wasn't getting that deep dive. I mean, they're in my body. I should know what's happening. But imagine the amount of distraction I would have if I knew all 22. Imagine the amount of distraction I would have if I knew everything that was coming down that hollow bone to show up for all these different clients, right? The details aren't for me to be aware of at this level. I am aware of them at a different consciousness level, right? But no, I have seen their faces, a couple of them, and I have seen a few of the ETs, because there are ascended masters and there are ETs that are involved in the 22. But I don't have the individual dialogues with them at this point. That's coming, they say, just not right now.
Okay, that makes sense. So somebody wants to know, can you heal anyone?
No, I can't heal myself. No joke. I'm my worst customer. Like I can't heal anything in my body, no matter how hard I try, right? And even my bad human patterns still come up. I mean, I thought I worked on that, so I still have things that happen to me. And then I also find that those that are closest to you, relatives, the closer they are to you, the harder it is for them to receive. Okay. And then occasionally I'll have that client where their team comes in and says, no, it's part of their experience. They have to go through it for whatever. And I didn't get into what their experience is, but they shut the door. They're like, no. So yeah, there are times I can't heal, but that's not because of me. That's because of that soul level decision.
Right. That makes sense. And definitely about the family. There's that.
I mean, I can go up there and talk to your guides, and I do. And often they'll make changes to your experience requirements. But what I have found in those negotiations, like, listen, okay, we're going to go ahead and let you heal from the cancer, but it's going to come back in a couple of years in a different way. So whatever those experiences are, they still have to show up in some way, even if we're dealing with that one disease, right? And then other times you're like, experience done, go ahead and heal it. And they'll put a little checkbox in the thing and the healing will start. We'll commence.
And so you can, if there is a healing, you can heal anything like sciatica,
Yeah,
issues.
all the time. Back pain, all of that. Right now, I will tell you that, first of all, if someone realizes I'm not doing the healing, I don't want anyone to think that I'm doing it. The team's doing it, right? All we're doing is removing energy interference, past life, the interference to bring your body back into its natural state. And I say that because I don't want people to think that my ego is showing up saying, I'm
Right.
doing this. I'm not doing it.
You're the conduit,
I'm just the
correct?
conduit. We're just removing the things that don't belong. Yeah.
Yeah.
And of all the things that happen, the eyes seem to take longer to heal, the vision returning. Tinnitus in the ear, sometimes that doesn't heal because it's not tinnitus, it is literally the frequencies coming in. People will be like, I need to fix the tinnitus, and we do that, but then we turn on that frequency channel and then they still get that right. And then teeth seem to be a weird thing too, because teeth connect to the body. But other than that, I everything's on the table. My team tells you everything is a potential on the table, and the less I know about it, the better.
How about non-physical things like healing a relationship or finances?
Yeah, excellent questions. So here's the thing. I will not do energy work on anybody that didn't ask for it. So if someone comes to me and say, listen, I want to fix my relationship with my partner, they're being a jerk. Can you make him feel better? No. No. Your partner can give me permission to do that. So that's the first thing. I've got a very solid ethical boundary. I don't touch energy. Don't do energy work anybody didn't ask. And yes, I can see the blockages in your relationships. I can see the blockages in your life. I can see the blockages that are preventing financial flow, and I can dissolve them. And it often happens where the jobs show up the next day, the website starts making money, phone calls start coming in when those blockages are removed. Happens all the time.
Somebody wants to know on your website, the membership agreement.
Yeah. All right. So let me explain the membership agreement. How silly. This is a great catch, by the way. And I've only had to explain it a couple of times. As an energy healer practitioner, we always have to be concerned about being sued, from our government friends, right? Doing the work that we shouldn't do. Well, I have hired an attorney who's looked at the idea of the statement of acceptance, my terms of service, right? And when you are involved in a membership, a group, there are certain rules that don't apply. So the membership, my friend, is nothing more than me placing you in a group to assist, to protect me legally from being sued from performing the stuff I don't perform. Like I don't diagnose tear treat. So this is all that is. It's just legal protection for me. There's no membership program where I'm charging you. Great question, though.
Somebody wants to know how much of you, the original Ken, is still here and versus the walk-ins.
That's an interesting question. What's the name of that person asking?
It's so she's a great friend. She's
Siya,
from Singapore.
Como po ba dia na ya no tia siya pa o dia da dia di shiri ni no the number is 63 that is left. Mishi to dia ni te shiri that he's aware of this. Did you imagine the 63% that is left no longer having a purpose, if you will? Now the soul's there, the soul's always there, he's always there. But the idea of needing the extra baggage is no longer needed, streamlining the system, if you will. Just like we wouldn't bring an entire soul into the body, we bring a soul fragment in as needed. We remove those soul fragments that were no longer in alignment with the mission itself. 63% is where he's at today. He will never fully leave. Okay, well, that was a beautiful question. That's why I wanted to know who asked that, because that question doesn't get asked well. I mean, you got to really know what you're doing to ask that question.
Yeah,
thank
pretty
you.
Amazing. You'll meet her soon.
Yeah, and I just found that out, by the way, 3 weeks ago.
So basically, all the human beliefs and stuff that is not Ken is actually what's going on.
Yeah. Like I don't
all those false beliefs and stories and everything.
I haven't been connected to the news in 7 years. I mean, honestly, truthfully, I mean, I might watch movies just to kill time, right? But even the movies I watch, I try to choose one without a narrative. It's really strange like that. I'm not connected to any events happening in the world. I have no idea what's happening. And it's by design. My team wants me to do just what I do to the healing, right? Without getting involved in the bigger picture.
And so you can heal emotional healing or heal emotional problems with people without going into the story.
Yeah, I can literally reach into the heart and see what's there. I talk to the heart. and the heart will release what needs to be released, right? When I'm working on the body, I'll see trapped emotions as just a ball of energy I reach in and pull out like a balloon. Don't even ask what it is. I can, I don't.
Right. So the
Mhm.
story of the trauma of growing up or whatever doesn't matter. It's irrelevant.
Yeah, irrelevant. And I think about this, like I don't have a single memory that has an emotional attachment to it, good or bad. And I'm like, that's really weird because I don't think that's normal. I think people, when they have memories of, wedding days and births and happiness, right? You have that. And for me, it's a very neutral, almost disconnected memory.
I'm just going through these questions.
Yeah.
So Trisha would like to know, have you walked into places where healing is desperately needed? Hospitals, for example, and the
No,
energy is dense?
no,
No.
no, and I won't. So let me explain because I think as healers we kind of grapple with that, right? We're all waiting for the day the guy walked up to you and says, "Well, how come you don't go to the children's hospital and heal all the children with cancer?" I mean, we have that going through our head. I'm like, God, that's a great question. Why don't I? Because I'm not supposed to. Those that are ready to be healed will find their way in front of me. Now, that's not an egotistical statement. There are thousands and thousands of team members energetically that are making the higher self connections for those that need to be healed. And they find themselves in front of me. Would I ever go into a hospital setting and do that? If I was invited and if I had permission from every single person that I touched. Now, there's another caveat to what they've done to me, right? As I mentioned, the 22 had changed the physical structure of my body. Right now, there's a field of energy that's 580 feet in my physical proximity that's around me. You can think of it like a transmission tower. Okay. When I do the healing on someone, what's actually happening is that I'm creating coding, programming, human healing codes. Okay. All this high frequency energy comes down into the human body, gets translated and stored. So that when you walk into my field at the grocery store or wherever, if you're in alignment with it, your team, right? Nothing gets given to anybody, you will get your codes. Your healing will start, your DNA codes, your extension, whatever's in that field for you, you'll get. And this is why I made the statement in the beginning of our call. Notice how you feel. Because that field isn't just physical, it's also etherical, right? So anybody in my field will begin to have a shift. Oh, you're muted, Sean. I got you muted, buddy.
Thanks. I am just going through these questions.
Well, how about if I go ahead and do the free gift form?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do, guys. I'm just gonna have you drop in and close your eyes in just a moment here. And I'm just going to take you to a place where you're going to do nothing. You're just going to sit here and you're going to allow whatever visualizations to show up. Okay. And then I'm going to begin the light language that I do. And it'll go on until they tell me to stop, 3 to 5 minutes or whatever they end up running. Just notice what you notice, right? If you have discomfort in the body, notice that before and after. Okay. So I will tell you also, just as a caveat, if you find yourself getting emotional over the next couple of days, this is the purging taking place. You may not know why you're emotional. Don't worry about it. Just ground and it'll pop and it'll leave. All right. So I just want to give you a heads up. You may feel a little discomfort. This is the energy moving the body. So go ahead and drop in, please. Very, very, very simple visualization. I just want you to visualize a black room. Like a green room, but a black room. No windows, no doors. Just get comfortable. As you're in this room, I just want you to visualize your hologram. I like to see my hologram as a blue outline. And relax if you can't visualize anything. It's going to happen regardless. Now, as you're staring at the visualization of the hologram, I want you to start noticing in the background the stars, the solar system, the planets. The entire scene is coming to life as if you're looking up in the sky. And for the next few moments, I just want you to notice what you notice. Allow whatever to happen. Allow whatever to show up. Karian tari ni siri ni tini tini tu popo ni tu ni da popo popo kiri dia lia ni ta popo popo siti kuno tini da ni da papa di ni tiri di du bri ni da shiki da ko bri ni shiki di dia tu sini ta popo ni siri ni tini siri di sini do ni to popo tu tu ach kuchki ni chiki ach ni shiki tu mi at ni shiki ni to kana par bi tu tin pete chiki ni to ya papa o di ata ko ru shiro mi ta po ba pa ya pa o ya pa o ya ni ha do ni ta mo ba pa ni te ni de ski ni ta pa we to ti shi ko ta pa o pa alu ni ti shi ni o lo sha pa o mu shu du shi do pa ku ka ku ni ti ali du shi o mo pa kali ni ta ni pa o po bi ti ala ka ta shi to mi ali ni a ka ko hi a po bi ale ni ti ni no mo bo ni ro shi ishi shu ku shu ku i ni no mo mi ni no ni ta ni to ni ta bo pa bi ti ri shari to me apa lu pu no ni na mo ni no ni na ri ga shiri ga na ga apa ba ni da te de ta pa pa adu ti na te de da ri ga shiri ga da ri ga ri pa ri mo ri shiri ga ga shiri ga pa mi na do ni ni mi ka mo ni no ni ni shiri ga ga pa ri no pa ya ti cha pa kapa ali apa pi ni ti ni na ya sha ti ta ti to chuko you can come out of that when you're ready.
Wow. So why don't you explain, if you can?
I can't. I
You
literally
can or
can't tell.
can't?
I can't. I literally can't tell you what just took place. I can't tell you the different entities that came through, and you'll notice the different pitches and the voices, right? And they actually multiple entities will carry on the same frequency as well. So it wasn't just the 22 that showed up. There were 3 others that showed up. They're telling me also for some of the folks in the crowd, right? I don't know, and that's why this works. If I knew what they were targeting for the healing or the emotional release or the activations or the abundance or whatever they were doing for everybody individually, which is the beauty of it. You know, you guys didn't just show up and get the 8 energies, and with love I say that, right? You're getting exactly what is designed for you.
And I guess that makes sense that you don't know, because if you did know, then it would be going through your perception and it might skew what they're sending.
Right, because remember the idea that I only know what I know, and when I go to heal someone, I've got this process that I do, rinse, wash, repeat, whatever it is, right? And for me to do that on the masses, and while I can't do that, I can bring everyone's hologram into a single hologram and work on them. The team just needs me out of the way sometimes. And these are one of the times.
So while we're, could you explain light language? And like we were talking earlier, maybe you could explain how light language is different than speaking in tongues.
Okay, so kind of a loaded question, but I'm going to explain it the best I can. All right. So I want everyone to understand that I have no religious background and I don't have any religious preference one way or the other. So just a neutral approach to this, right? Light language is the ability for consciousness to communicate with consciousness, regardless of the faculties involved. Let me explain. I use light language to speak with every entity I connect with up there. I use light language to talk to your heart. Okay. The heart doesn't have ears, mouth, etc. So understand light language is a way for consciousness to talk to consciousness. Now, the reason we don't hear words, right, or sentences or phrases or repeated patterns over and over is because we don't want the brain to intercept the information. Okay. If our brain got in there and we're sending the message, it's a red car, the brain's gonna be like, well, what kind of red car is it? Is it new? Is it used? Is it fast? Is it slow? Our brain gets in there and really messes up the information. So light language is consciousness to consciousness with nothing in the middle to interrupt it. Now, speaking in tongues, same but different. And let me explain. It's consciousness to consciousness. But but the information being pulled down is in a doctrine. Okay, it is a format, is a presentation. If you have a specific religion that you subscribe to, the knowledge, the information, the teachings, whatever is coming through in that light language will follow that doctrine. Okay, so for me, I don't have a doctrine. Whatever needs to show up will show up. Where the light language that I use to heal would probably not show up if it was done in a religious setting because there's a doctrine involved in it, rules and processes for that light language. I hope that made sense. That's the best way I can explain it, to my knowledge, at least.
Yeah, it does. I think it's a great something that I hadn't thought about. So I think it's a great answer.
Yeah, and the way my team works is that, I don't sit here all day long asking myself questions at all. My team answers questions when somebody else asks the question, which is really crazy. But yeah. So yeah, I could do this all day long and I'm going to get crickets.
Really? So if you ask the question, you don't get anything.
Yeah. And it's just an incubation. They're talking to me now. It's just an incubation phase that I'm getting ready to do. I'm at the last piece of my shadow work, if you will, from the divorce stuff. That's getting ready to settle in the next couple of weeks, right? I'm at the end of that whole incubation restructuring phase, and then I get access to a bunch more when that's done. Or so they say.
That's awesome. Well, people enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah,
Maybe perhaps
probably quite a few comments in there, right?
Yeah, maybe next month or in the next couple of months we could do an actual workshop.
Yeah, we can totally do a healing event, and it'll be about an hour and a half, and I will literally touch every aspect of the energy body. So just so you guys are aware, there is a coupon code. If you go to my website, it's the word healing, HEALING. It's all capital. Gives you 25% off anything you want. And I saw that question come up. I'll answer it in a second. So this is 25% off my groups. And if you haven't had the group experience, it's $44. You should absolutely give that a try. I do it once a week. It's about 30 minutes of what you just experienced. And they're themed as well.
The coupon code again is just healing, all in caps.
All capitals, one word. And that'll be for the group, for the private sessions. And again, right, I've got these other healing. I got quite a few events coming up in 2025 as well. I've got some in San Diego and LA and Vail. Thanks to our friend Sheila.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be nice. And Bell. Yeah. So, but we should do that. Maybe January, if you have time, we could set up a healing event. And so, William would like to know, why a divorce? Did your wife not share any of your views?
Oh, great question. And so I want I got to tell you, in every recording, you'll hear me talk nothing but highly of my ex-wife, right? Or my former wife, whatever one, because she did nothing wrong. Beautiful woman. Heart was there, right? But when the thing happened to me, she does have a religious foundation, religious structure. And she's like, listen, don't change my views. I'm just like, I won't. Right, we respect that, right? You don't want to, I'm not here to change anybody's views. So, but what ended up happening here is as I started to grow and have all these experiences, she wasn't even interested in understanding any of this. So ultimately, my frequency changed. And this happens a lot, right, guys? We all know this. When we start doing the work and we start raising our frequency, our relationships fall out. And while
Yeah.
I was okay with it, my team's like, nope. So this is all
It's
it
very
was.
common after an NDE because also
Yeah.
you exit the story. And a
Hmm.
lot of relationships, most of them, there's a story there.
Yeah.
And people are playing roles. And so
Yeah.
once you exit it, so yeah, it's very
So
common.
that's what the divorce is about, right? They just my frequency continues to shift, and it'll continue to shift forever, is what they tell me.
How about with your family?
Well, you know, they're family, but they don't. None of these conversations take place at dinner table, right? Or when I'm at my Thanksgiving dinners, right? We don't. These aren't conversations we have.
I mean, have you shared
They all
what's
know.
gone on? They
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
know.
yeah. No, full disclosure. Who wants to live like that, right? But
Right.
but 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 that doesn't necessarily mean they can grasp or understand it. If you've never had intuition or never been an empath, you never had a vision, you never had something come true. It's like, you can't relate to it. So yeah,
Right.
that's all
There's
it
a
is.
saying that I wished I had known after my NDE, which is ask not the sparrow where the eagle soars.
I don't understand it.
Because
Yeah.
I was, trying to talk to family and people who
Yeah.
just can't understand. They'd look at me a little cross-eyed, like, is he like mentally okay?
And
And
there's been some questions, right? But luckily enough, I've been sane all my life, right? And I'm able to explain this in such a way what's happening to me, right? And still maintain sanity. So I'm okay. They know, they just don't know, right?
yeah,
So I'm curious if anybody had any healings. Did they want to share anything in the group chat or not? I'm just curious. I'm not looking at the chat, so I don't know.
Trisha, do you want to? Oh, okay. Well, we'll unmute you, Jennifer. And Trisha, if you want to share, there you go, Jennifer.
Okay.
Hi,
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you
nice to
for
meet you.
sharing. I actually saw um like a purple diamond shape in
Okay.
the black room,
Mm-hmm.
and then I actually started going inside my brain, and I was actually seeing fibers, and I literally saw damage, like a black spot, um, and little fibers coming out where I had some damage when I died from sepsis, and I have continual severe migraines. I don't know why that happened, but
Are they showing
um,
you the regrowth?
is that what it is?
That's the
Okay.
healing. They're showing you the regrowth taking place.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Thank you so much.
I can speak if you want, Sean. I have kind of a complicated question.
Hey,
Yeah,
Trisha.
I'm trying to find you to bring you. There you are. Wait, you just moved.
Oh no. Well, Ken, I'm a fellow near-death experiencer too, and friend of Sean's, and so I was really curious about this. And my question is really specific, and maybe some people in the audience will receive a healing from this too, though. But I grew up in an evangelical background and I faked speaking in tongues at a young age. And everyone, was like, oh, what a beautiful spiritual child. And my mom was like, oh, you're so enlightened. And I knew I was faking the whole time,
Uh-huh.
just making up words. And I was like, these people are idiots. And so I am terrified to learn light language. I have a friend in town who is trained in shamanism
I see it.
at a light language university here
I
in
see it
California.
in you, by the way.
And yet I have contacted, aliens in a vibrational way.
Hmm.
I have been guided by them, at times,
Hmm.
certainly, but I'm just afraid of the language.
I know you are.
Can you
Yeah, I
heal
can
that
see
in me?
it. I can see it actually.
Can you
I,
heal that in me?
yeah, I can open it up.
Yeah.
Okay, so hold on. Let me bring you to my. I need to add you to a pin. Okay, do you see my right eye? I just want you to stare at my right eye. Shiria tiria nataria mapoya tia nitaria dia taria tari shia to papaya dia. Korea notori nitiri niatiri niatara dia shirika niatara kadia shirika notaria papaya to papaya tori niata. Shati alia niata mapapa. It's already there. Ka adia niata na nea niato mobi. I can guarantee you that if you don't have to do it on the call. But when the call's done, you go in the closet, you start opening your mouth and just letting it flow. It's so there. It is just so there. Just embrace it.
Okay, I
Right?
will. And do you know what races or what
So you've
key
got
characteristics?
Palladian and Arcturian in you, a little bit Andromedan, your Palladian's primary. And that's funny because I actually don't answer those questions.
Ah.
And in my group tomorrow night, they have me actually channeling Palladian, Arcturian, and Andromedan pure core DNA upgrades. I don't do that stuff normally, so that's interesting you asked that question, and it's
Well,
interesting they channeled that yesterday.
I want to come to your group. I have a group right before it, so I'll send you a link if you want to even just
Yeah,
pop in the last 10 minutes and tell people in that
yeah,
group about your
would love
group.
it. So my email address is ken@kenlloydofficial.com, folks.
Okay,
So
well,
cool.
thank you.
Chris is an amazing healer as well.
Oh, all right, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Lisa has a question for you.
Hi, Liesel. Still muted.
Oops. David needs your help here.
Okay. Am I unmuted?
Wait just a sec.
Oh,
Just trying to
I-
get you on the
I can't
spotlight.
yeah, I can't unspotlight
Oh, okay.
what you did. Okay, there you go. I think we're good.
Okay.
Wait, we gotta
Wow,
get
everything's like moving around on the Zoom.
Yeah, sorry.
My question is, I find that the more my consciousness expands, the more saying that there are all kinds of different souls and guides and all of that, the more it becomes seen as a relative truth and not the absolute truth. Like, the more it becomes clear that the absolute truth is that there is just this one field of consciousness, this one awareness, this one being that basically literally everyone and everything all are. And so I'm just wondering if you could put what you're saying a little bit more in that context.
I'm going to have to ask you to repeat or restate the question slightly different because I'm not quite sure of the ask.
Okay. Well, I guess I'll put it in the context of my own experience with channeling. So I channel a collective consciousness that my husband and I call the beings of light, and it's like a large group collective, and there's this sense of it all sort of speaking as one, and just, but it's not the same experience that you've described.
Yeah, it's okay.
But what I have found is that the more time goes on, the more that there's just this settling into like that it's all just one field of consciousness. Like, it's not Liesel and the beings of light, or it's not Liesel and
I think I get what you're stating.
And also that each and every one of us, like everybody here, everybody in the universe, all the ETs, etc., that we are all actually one field of consciousness. And yes, you could talk in terms of like souls and all of that, but it's the same thing as saying like the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. That's true from this perspective of Earth, but that's not universally true. And so I'm just curious like how you speak about what it is you're speaking about, but in the context of the fact that you are one with everyone on this call and every other being. And so, like, what is
So I don't quite understand it, but let me take a shot at it.
okay.
Okay, I don't quite understand the question, but ultimately, yeah. So we've got the idea of everything being one. I think we could all agree on that to some level, right? I think it's beyond the human comprehension to understand what that really means. Just like I think it's beyond our human comprehension to easily understand the idea of a past life that's actually happening right now. There are just some things that are a little more complex because of the linear structure of our brain, right? And you're right. We are all connected. And in fact, when I'm in there doing the work I'm doing, I am connecting to the consciousness of the thing I'm talking about to understand its perspective as well. Because there isn't one truth, there are unlimited truths to the same thing. And one of the things that the Library of Creation was telling me in the beginning, when they first introduced this to me, imagine the idea of you being able to go into the library and ask a question, and you get an answer or a video. I'm going to make this up. Show me that accident. Making it up, right? But then they show you the accident from another perception, from the victim, or maybe they show you the accident from an observer. Right? All that information is available. We're all there, right? It's all a different perception. So I'm really not sure where the questions add in your statement, other than me agreeing. We're all connected. And we're all able to, work with each other with regards to at the conscious level. And I'm sorry, I'm just not clear on the question. Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Cindy. You have to unmute.
Mute. Did it unmute? Yeah. Oh, there.
Yeah.
It's unmute. Okay, there we go. Hi, Ken.
Hi.
First of all, I just wanted to tell you I felt a definite physical energy around my entire body while we were doing that. And then the other thing is, boy, could I relate. You can't talk to your family about things, because I had an NDE that changed my life, and I've seen UFOs, and I saw clusters of them even during my NDE, and there was some transformational things that happened that when Kimberly Meredith came into Sheila's group, she picked up for me.
Oh, are you on that call too? I was on that call as well. I was on the call with Sheila and Kimberly. Yeah.
You in our group.
Yeah.
But so it's really fun hearing you, because I didn't know this part of you.
Yeah. All sorts of surprises. But yeah, very, very, very cool. And you guys will feel the energies, right? That's the whole point.
Oh yeah.
You'll feel the shift.
I can feel energy. I can feel energy of places. I can feel energy of people. I can see people's auric field, but that's besides the point. When I tried telling my brother, I was so excited that, she saw that I had an NDE. She saw that I had seen Jesus. I never told anybody this. And so I wanted to call my brother, watch this video. Look what he said. I hallucinated.
Yeah.
He said, oh, that's just, that's nothing.
My family's supportive, right? But I also pick and choose the depth of the conversation.
So I get it. I just had to tell you that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you so much for cheering.
Okay, let's Catherine.
You're still muted. Hey.
Thank you for picking. I have a great comment to make directed towards my personal experience with a human collective. And I want to say that just by saying it, when we went into the hologram, it was the hologram of the human collective. And I just deep breathed incredible connections that I've been holding that no longer are necessary, over and over and over. And it was wonderful because I feel all those releases or all those disconnections make a frequency of sovereignty even more. And my connection to the planetary consciousness, especially Sean, since you're in Hawaii, right? The Lemurians, all those things. Anyway, it was just very releasing, very freeing, and I'm very grateful. And I'm glad I followed my intuition to be on the call.
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.
Sonia.
Hi. Yeah, sorry about asking a question, Ken. I've also had a near-death experience. I have 4 university qualifications, sorry, 5, getting up to my 6th now. So I just want to say that just in case anyone thinks it's where it's coming from. But yeah, I guess I was hoping to gain an idea from you of your thoughts, like you did with the lady previously, because I'm trying to do everything I can to think about helping others, and my degrees are one of those, and what type of leadership position, no matter how big or small that could be. But yeah,
You just don't have the direction you're looking for?
I know my direction, and although lots of challenges have been presented to me, I've managed to get through them. Like you just keep going ahead, because what else is there? You're not someone to give up, so you just and I'm supposed to be someone who brings people together and helps people. I'm a bit behind in times.
Yeah.
And also I know and understand.
You have a dome over top of you that is literally suppressing you. Like we talk about blockages. Like I'm looking at you right now. I think about blockages, right? Blockages to abundance, or blockages to this, or blockages to that. And normally these show up as little wooden blocks, just the way they do for me. Spirit shows me things that I can work with. You literally have a dome over top of you that's pressing you down, like a permanent blockage, if you will. You can't see around it. I'm going to go ahead and pull that off you. And this will allow, and I'm going to work on your field. This will allow the information you're seeking to begin bubbling in. All right. It was kind of being denied a little bit because of the structure around you. Okay. If you're looking for your inspiration, or looking for what your next steps are, you're looking for that connection, it'll come through. All right. But right now that information is just titrated so very slow. Did that resonate with you?
Like I can see what you're saying with blockages. I know what you're saying. And I understand what you're talking about with a dome. But like when you've been at the core of existence and you come back, it's really difficult, and you don't know how serious to take this. Like First Nations talk about storylines, and you think about how and why we're here, and the symbiotic nature between everything, and even towards higher intelligence.
But what do you do with that?
Figures.
What do you do with that?
My latest degree is a science degree.
But what do you do with that in the real world? I don't mean the real world. I don't mean that in a funny, sarcastic way. So don't look at it like that, right? But you've got these degrees, and now you have this incredible insight experience, right? How are you showing that up to the world? I'm just curious.
I've written 2 books so far, and I'm trying to do a 3rd book. And the 3rd book was always going to be one which was more science-based. I know that we're talking about unified field before, which physicists talk about as well. So I want to get into the nitty-gritty and take the voodoo out of the experiences and put it into.
Are you getting the information you need from your team?
I never know what to say.
Right. Are you asking your team questions about a topic X or topic Y?
I already know what I need to. Like, I've got all these degrees in law and science. My years and years ago, even before this happened, I was wanting to go into physics, and that's my ultimate.
Okay. So this is actually becoming clear now, because remember when you're talking to me, I'm actually tapped into you. and trying to understand what's happening. And while you've got these amazing degrees, and my hat's off to you, seriously, like incredible, right? I don't know if you're utilizing your team to get the information as well. Yes, I get it. We have all this incredible information in the books, but think about what's not in the books. And that's what your team has.
The
Right?
only problem is, and I don't mean to interrupt, but the majority of people don't understand
Yet.
and yet, but they understand a degree. And so if I can use
There's a bridge coming. There's a bridge coming between consciousness and science. All right. Science is going to need to lean on those that are tapped into consciousness for their next inspiration, their next thing, right? It's going to be coming from the ethereal planes. The place where you sit at on the food chain, and just use it as a general term, is incredibly important. And while you may not recognize this right now, that bridge is huge. Think of the idea of new technologies coming through and flowing through to you into the science community. So when I see this dome over you, I see you not getting the information you're looking for from your team. It took me a little while to make the connection. Okay. Does that resonate with you?
Yes. And I know what you're saying. You can do it the easy way or you can do it the hard way. I've opted to do it the hard way so that the majority of
it's a hybrid way. There's no easy way, there's no hard way. It's a hybrid way. It's new information. You have new information at your fingertips when you're ready.
Yes, and I guess I see that as the easy download, so to speak. But if I was to have a conversation with the person on the street and saying,
it's not your audience. It's not your audience.
We're going to have to continue this.
Sorry. Thank you, Sean.
A little later, just because we're running out of time and we have 2 more questions.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
And Sonia, we'll do a workshop so you can come back and work with Ken more. Rebecca, do you have a question? You have to turn on your camera if you want to join us. Are you there, Rebecca? And somebody else was there, but they turned. Who else just had your hand up, but put it down? Somebody else had a. Okay, Kathleen, because I don't think Rebecca can hear me. Kathleen, can you unmute?
Yes, I can. I'm in bed, so I don't have my camera on. So
that's fine.
I just had I have a sore throat, and I was just gonna have a straightforward ask if there's any little cleanup you could possibly do.
You're talking about itchy? Is it itchy throat? I'm asking what it feels like.
Swollen lymph node on the right side.
Okay. There's 2 childhoods. Angels. 1 ancestors. Papa emotions there. Pull that out. Dissolve. Rebuild. Dissolve the body. Rebuild. How do you feel? Do you feel a shift yet?
I feel something, yeah.
Yeah, the shift's happening for you. Okay.
Thank you. And I signed up for your next 3 groups.
Awesome. You're about 45 seconds away from relief or so, roughly. Right. So
sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Okay, we'll do these last 2 and then Carol, do you want to unmute?
Hi.
Hi, Carol.
Hello. Let me see. I don't know what that is later. Okay, there we go. I felt something. It was very, very strange because the no doors, no windows was like, whoa. And so I went, no, it's okay. It's okay. And I just kind of, I felt like all these people were working on me, kind of in a blue light. And they went through where I'd had surgeries. So
nice.
started at the bottom and kind of went up, and then different people were, and then I heard the different sounds, and then it was like very calm, and then it was like, oh, did you forget up here? Because it was sort of, it was because there was a cholecystectomy, there was a there's lots of damage from other things, but I went in for like, can you help me out? Because financially, it's just like, how long do I struggle? Because I mean, I am a nurse, but I'm a healer, and I realized a few years ago that I hear people who've passed, and I learned more about medical intuition and training in that, but I just I'm not really doing that per se, or I connect with oracle cards, and I can read.
So let me help everyone out.
Yeah.
The visualizations that I took you through were a distraction.
The which? What was
the
it?
Visualization I just took you through was a distraction.
Was it? Okay.
It was designed to get your mind off of what I was doing. I didn't want you to try to look for a word or a syllable, or, geez, what is he working on now? And why does my knee twitch when he says that? No. The idea was to get your mind out of the way and to get you looking at something that makes sense. And your team will show up and they'll give the information, right? But for me, let's keep you busy for 5 or 10 minutes. Let me get in there and do the thing I do. So yes, you had some amazing visualizations. Absolutely. That's beautiful.
Right. It's just, again, I'm trying to figure out what to do with what the gifts I have. And I've literally let nursing go and gotten back into voiceover acting. Because
this is probably a bigger conversation for us to have if you want to have a conversation.
But I do think I'll be doing the other healing work through that. And
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Carol. Rebecca.
Yay, I made it. Can you hear me?
I can.
Yep.
Ken, God bless you.
Thank you.
I just love you so much.
You're not a paid sponsor, are you?
No, I promise I'm not.
Just making sure. I'm kidding.
I found you through Sheila, and I do everything I can, but I haven't been able to afford the individual sessions. So this was a lovely opportunity. So thank you, Sean. The question. I came in with a mission and very committed to it. I'm still not clear what it is, although those around me, when I made the commitment before I came in, said, you don't have to do this. In other words, it was going to be difficult. And God knows it has been. But I've had and that's all I remember. I don't remember what the actual commitment was. And what
I don't think we're supposed to know.
What?
I don't think we're supposed to know. I mean,
okay.
Let me okay, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm okay with not knowing at this point, although that would be wonderful. My real question is, I've encountered, I realize now, interference from day one, and it's getting more and more and more extreme. Okay. Do I need a personal session for this, or is there anything you can share with me that might be helpful?
What exactly are you experiencing, real quick? We'll make it short and then I'll jump in.
Interference.
In what way?
Personal surveillance. Being surveillance.
Being surveillance. Okay. We'll need to take this offline, and so we'll reach out to me via email.
Thank you.
They're shutting me down. They're like, no, we're gonna have a different conversation with you.
God bless you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Okay. Wow, Ken. I didn't anticipate that we were going to bring everybody on, but that was amazing.
Yeah, some great questions, right? And they were long-winded,
Yeah.
so thanks for everyone's patience. And you should all be pretty vibrating right now, wishing you didn't have that caffeine. So,
yeah, actually, I felt great. So thank you.
I worked on you just before the show started, so you should be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. And so everybody, to go to kenlloydofficial.com. You can use the coupon code for healing, all caps. And we'll put together a group workshop for the next month or so, and everyone could come. That'd be fun. It'd be really fun.
It'll be incredible. And I gotta tell you, you should have your audience send you some ideas for what they want to have healed, and that, solicit what they want to have healed in your event, right? And we can do
That's a great idea.
Hey, we'll show up and we'll do the things that your audience wants done.
Okay.
Totally.
We'll plan it and then have everybody send what they'd like to work on beforehand.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
Well, Ken, I got to thank you. This has just been so amazing. I'm so glad we met and just honored that you came and shared with us. You're very generous. And so, yeah, everybody make sure to check Ken's website out and have a Merry Christmas. I keep forgetting it's December.
I know, right?
Here in Hawaii, it's always sunny.
It's always beautiful, right?
Yeah. So, but we'll see everybody on the 17th at the sharing group. And if you're interested, Ken, you could come.
Send me a link.
Check it out. Yeah, it's just like, people share about their experiences and in a safe place where they can talk about, what they've gone through. So
yeah, I'd love that. So
yeah,
cool. As long as you're okay with me giving answers. As long as you're okay with me giving them some answers.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay.
Right,
well, thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful night. And we will see you all hopefully on the 17th of the sharing group. And have a Merry Christmas. And then after that, we'll see you next year. Aloha.